When you're planning a conference, how is it that we invite people and engage people? We've been thinking about this for the last 3 years, not being able to get together in person, but how do you continue to do the work? And so we tried different things. Rick Kite has gone online with a podcast and was doing video presentations of speakers that we'd bring in. We found different ways in which to communicate with each other and reach out. Mike Maudewell earlier this year invited us back to Fort McCoy where we began our work again, and many of us have had to restart. But we knew that we had to also restore and renew. When you're putting together, how do you begin a conference? And Michael Bush was so gracious to hold his calendar open for 3 years and be available to us. And then how is it that you close? How is it that you make this experience memorable? When you come together, always pay attention to beginnings and to endings. And we thought, who better to close our conference, to pull us all together, than Arbender Robinson. He's one of our own, a graduate of Viterbo University. We first met in a classroom in about 1996. Small African-American man in my class, in a largely white classroom. A man who was always fully alive. St. Irenaeus says the glory of God is a person fully alive. And I tell you what, since the first time I met him, Arbender Robinson is leaking steam. He's a young man who lights up the room. When he listens intently. When he speaks with insight. And he has a marvelous sense of joy that becomes contagious. He graduated from Viterbo and has gone on to a magnanimous career on Broadway, performing a number of musicals and plays, and in the process, making others better. Arbender Robinson is recognized for his service and leadership and now serves on the board of directors at Viterbo University. Abraham Heschel was asked, do you have a word of advice to the next generation? And this marvelous, wise rabbi said this. Tell them this, there is meaning beyond absurdity. Every deed counts. Every word has power. And above all, you must build your life as if it were a work of art. Arbender Robinson has done this and will do it for us as well. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thanks. Wow. You know, it's always great and shocking when someone else talks about you because they say things that you either didn't realize or you forgot. So now remembering all of those days in class many years ago, being the only person of color in class, petrified. That's where the energy came from, was fear, but it's okay. I'm here today, so thank you so much for having me, yeah? Can you hear me okay? Good morning or evening, friends. Here's your friendly announcer. I have some serious news to pass on to everybody. What I'm about to say can change the world's disaster and bring you joy and laughter through tears and pain. You see, love is in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Hate's gone round, breaking many hearts. Stop it soon before it's gone too far. Do 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 do. Love's in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Hate's gone round, breaking many hearts. Stop stop it soon before it's gone too far. How you guys doing today? Yay, thank you. So I have a few confessions to make. Normally in my profession of being an actor on Broadway, it's so weird when I say that I can't believe I made it. Normally in my profession, I don't really have to say things that I think of for myself. Normally there's a director who gets paid more money than I do to tell me exactly what to say and how to say it. There's a lighting designer who makes me look great. There's a makeup designer who makes my skin look flawless. A costume designer makes me look really good, and these jeans were not so tight before the pandemic, but I'm doing the best I can, right? And then there's a sound designer who actually makes me sound glorious. So I am in my most vulnerable state right now, but I am beyond excited to share with you all today. But what I do whenever I have to speak is I have to surround myself by tiny, tiny miracles. That's why there are flowers here. I think flowers are like millions of miracles happening here. So take a look, enjoy them. I also make sure I wear a really, really cute bow tie and fun socks. So no matter what happens today, at least I had on a cute bow tie and I wore fun socks, so I win. Yeah. And one other miracle. If you are ever on an airplane and you have to be somewhere, and I get on the same plane, good luck. I have the worst luck when it comes to traveling, but for some reason, some miracle, all of my flights left and landed on time, and I am actually here, and hopefully, fingers crossed, my flights leave on time again in the morning so that I can make it back to New York to be prepared to do shows tomorrow on Broadway. They're already expecting me to be late because normally when I hop on a plane first thing in the morning, I may not make it to my destination until midnight, and I've just told myself, Arbender, just be prepared to be at the airport all day, and that's just what I do. So if it works out, great. If it doesn't, I'm prepared for it, so here we go. So tiny, tiny miracles all day, every day. But can you do me one favor? Has anyone ever been to New York City? Yeah? What are some words? Just shout them out. What are some words that you would use to describe New York City? I'm listening. Crazy, big. What else did I hear? Colorful, fast-paced. I agree with you. And whenever I leave New York City and I step off the plane and come home, this is home. I consider Viterbo home because I went to school down the street. And this is home, too, because I grew up just south of Chicago. But whenever I step off of the plane from New York, I've been there now for 20 years, I realize, Arbender, why are you talking so fast? Why are you moving so fast? Why are you in a hurry? And New Yorkers are not in a hurry. We just know that everything is going to go wrong from point A to point B. So our goal is to get there as quickly as possible. And I'll tell you a secret. One of the reasons that things go wrong, kind of, on our way from point A to point B is because we care about our tourists. We care about other people who visit our city, and we will stop our entire journey to work to actually lead you from your point A to point B because it's easier than just telling you where to go. Take the B train and get off at the 4 and then no, I'll just show you. Here we go. And I still have time to rush to work. I know you tried to thank me, but go, have fun. There we are. So can you all do me a favor? I need you to help me calm down so I can share a little information with you because I'm still in New York mode, right? So can you all do me a favor? Can everyone just make a slight little S sound? Wonderful. What we're going to do, on the count of 3, we're going to close our eyes. We're going to take a nice deep breath in, and we're going to make that S sound for as long as we can. Wonderful. It kind of sounds like a nice little soft rainstorm, and it calms me down. Wonderful. We're going to do that. And when you run out of air, when you run out of air, you can either keep your eyes closed or you can open them. It's completely up to you. So what we're going to do is I'll count to 3. We'll close our eyes, take a breath in, and make the softest, sweetest sound that you can, and listen to the sounds of the rain together. And then we'll continue. Can you help me out with that? Are we ready? Anyone need the instructions again? Instructions, directions, whatever. I'm an actor. I take direction really well. Great. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 'Tis a gift to be simple. 'Tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when you found yourself in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, you can't be the same. You turn, 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 turn. 'Twill be our delight. And by turning, turning, we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple. 'Tis a gift to be free. Thank you. Now I'm here with you. Thank you so much for that. One thing that we do in my career is we play characters. And oftentimes, we don't agree at all with what these characters believe or think. But it is our job as actors to become this character, to understand this character, and to serve this character and the playwright by justifying the character's actions from their own point of view. And the more truth that we can bring to the characters that we create or the characters that we play, the better our performance is. This is what we do. And once I realized that what I do in my profession is no different than what's required of me as a human on a daily basis, my career skyrocketed. Now, what's funny about all that is many, many moons ago, I won't tell you how old I am, but I guess I look younger than I am. This is great. Many moons ago, when I started school here at Viterbo, and by the way, before I went to Viterbo, I had never heard of the place. It was truly divine intervention. Truly divine intervention. In fact, I was supposed to go to a completely different school, nowhere even in the Midwest. And a few months before school began, I got into a car accident, and I was on a cheerleading scholarship. And my doctor said, "Hey, Arbender, you probably shouldn't cheer." And so the school said, "Well, dude, you're on a cheerleading scholarship, so it's not going to work." Right. So all of a sudden my phone rings and it's this nun. It's Sister Marie-Leon LaCroix from Viterbo. And she's like, "Hey, Arbender, based on your test scores, we have some money for you. Have you thought about where you're going to school?" And I was like, I mean, I thought about it, but it's not happening, so who cares? And she said, "Well, we have some money for you. Come up and check out Viterbo University in La Crosse, Wisconsin." And I was like, "Well, where's that?" She told me where it was, and I looked on the map, and I was like, "Oh, that's about 5 hours away. Okay, cool, I can do that." So we hopped in a car and drove up. But before we came up, I said, "Hey, do you have a pre-law program?" "No, we don't." I said, "Okay, great. What about like creative writing or journalism?" "Not really." I was like, "Oh, dang, what am I going to do?" So I said, "Do you have a theater program?" And my parents were like, no. "Do you have a theater program?" I was like, they're like, "Yeah, but it's full." And I was like, who do I need to talk to? So talked to a few people, drove up, auditioned for the program, and funny, right after my audition, my best friend from college, his name is Matt Aldridge, was auditioning right after me. That was kind of cool, so we met there. I got the scholarship, he didn't, don't tell him. So auditioned for the program, applied to the school, found housing, and a few weeks later came up to Viterbo University, which turned out to be the best decision of my entire life. And I'm very, very proud of that. So whenever I have an opportunity to come back to La Crosse and to give back to Viterbo University, I always try to do that because I would not be here or anywhere if it weren't for that divine intervention in that moment, for that phone to ring on that day and for me to actually answer, because I was a shy kid and me actually talking on the phone still today, it never happened. So thanks. So there we go. So that's the divine intervention. But had you told me then that I would one day be living in New York City and working on Broadway, I would have thought a few things. One, I would have called you a liar to your face because that's impossible. Two, I would have said, why would you wish something so horrible on me? Why would I want to live in New York City? There's so many people and it's loud and it's like bright and vivid and the ground may be dirty and all these things. I would ever want to be in New York. I just want to stay in the Midwest, right? So I would have been afraid. And then when I look back, I think there was also a moment of fear that I was responding to. I never, ever believed that this dream could actually happen. And then I did something really horrible. Not only did I not believe that the dream would happen, I refused to actually dream the dream. So when I speak and I talk to people and I go out and I meet other students and I talk about how great it is to be on Broadway, this is awesome. I've been on Broadway for like 20 years. I've done like 11 shows. My life is great. There's a part of it when they say, oh, you're living your dream. I'm choked up on the inside because I'm not. I didn't allow myself to dream the dream that I actually wanted, which is really surprising because, there are 1,000 people living inside of me. My mother, all of my mother, she's schizophrenic. No, really, she is. She's schizophrenic. So like all of them are living inside of me. There's my father. There is my best friend, Rolland. We met in kindergarten and have been friends forever and ever and ever. We're still friends. There's the bartender, Trevor, that I met just last night. Wonderful man who poured me wonderful drinks. Anyone who has changed my life in any way, I try to let them live inside of me in some way. There's also my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Sturr, who I love so much, right? She taught me things like, my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. There are actually 4 verses to that song. Go and learn the other 3, right? Great, Mrs. Sturr, and all these people that live inside of me that create who I am. And I owe tribute to all of those people inside me to be able to do the work that I'm doing today, to be able to live the dream that I'm living today. But I encourage all of you in your journey, if you dream something, to dream it and dream big. Because Walt Disney said, a dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. And dreams you lose, your heart breaks. Whatever you wish for, you keep. Have faith in your dreams, and someday your rainbow will come shining through. Why'd I pick this key? No matter how your heart is grieving, if you just keep believing, the dream that you wish will come true. Yay, here we go. So dream big, dream big, dream big. Now let's talk a little bit about what I do every day on stage as an artist. It's so cool, right? So there are 2 flower arrangements here, right? Wonderful. So if you were describing these flower arrangements, what words would you use? I'm listening. Beautiful. Colorful, beautiful, intricate, alive. Can I get 2 more? Levels. There was a D word up here, and there was different, and there was vibrant, diverse. I'll take it. All of these things work. But now let's dive into the actor's mind. Think about whatever word you'd used to describe these flowers. The actor would have to figure out why you chose that word. It's the strangest thing, but it's so cool when you treat people in this same way. So if you disagree with someone, our first goal for us is to figure out, well, what were they thinking? And why were they thinking that? Then we say, okay, if I put myself in their shoes, why would I think that? Great. Now that I'm in their shoes and I understand why they think that, how do I make that true? 100% true from their point of view. And then how do I use that information to move on? And once we understand our characters, we can predict how they will react in any situation. And once you know how they'll react in any situation, you know the proper way to approach them in any and every situation, which is different for every individual. So someone said, did anyone say that these flowers were beautiful? Great, beautiful. Why do you think they're beautiful? What are you responding to specifically?
The color, the shape, how they smell, those things.
Wonderful. So this is so we're using our eyes, right? We're seeing the shape and the color, this overall picture of it. For me, I would say it's a little wild, and I chose these flowers on purpose because most of these flowers that are growing in here are actually almost like wildflowers, right? There aren't many flowers that you'll only see in a florist, but some of these you'll see growing in the peace gardens where I spent my morning this morning, which is why I wanted to talk about the flowers, right? As part of my own restoration for today after a day of travel. So what other words do we use? Someone said levels. Who said levels? Yes. Why levels?
Well, I'm up here on the bird's nest up here, but they look a lot very tiered, and there's a lot of contrast in the shapes.
Oh, and I love that word, negative space, contrast in the shape, and I'm speaking from my vantage point of looking down at the flowers. Wonderful. Completely different than your vantage point looking up at this big spectacle of flowers. Let's find one more. Someone else said, wasn't there vibrant? Did someone say vibrant? Did I hear that? Going once? Twice? Oh, perfect. Someone said colorful, right? Was that here? Here, colorful. Talk to me. Why colorful? What are you responding to?
I love painting, so I can just see all the colors, seemingly yellow, green, blue. This looks like a lot of fun.
This is awesome. And you said that you love to paint, correct? Yeah, so this means that what we're seeing in these colors is different than what someone else would see, because these colors that we're seeing are coming from painting, and most people never respond to the color green in a flower arrangement, but the painter also responded to the color green. You see what I'm saying? So we're understanding exactly where the person is coming from to understand why they make the choices and the decision that they make. Wonderful? Yeah? So take that with you as you go along your journey, and I'll be very, very happy. That's what we do all day, every day as actors. So let's talk about my journey of getting there. Most people assume that it was simple. I came to Viterbo, I studied for 4 years, and I went out into the world and did some auditions, and the next thing you know, I was on Broadway. Yay, making my Broadway debut. It didn't quite work that way. So I came to Viterbo and quickly realized I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and I don't think I cared enough about humans to be able to actually do what I do. I was like, I'm just studying theater because you have a theater program and I like doing plays and I don't like the applause and all that stuff and I don't want people to recognize me, but I can completely escape reality stepping into someone else's shoes and being up here on stage. You know, we talk about the stage, in old theaters, the ghosts of all who have come before us. You know, anyone who's ever sang a note or danced a routine, you can feel their energy up here on stage, in the rafters and the wings and the handrails on the stairs, and you carry it with you every time you step foot on stage. You feel their hope and their loss pushing you to give everything you got. And for one night out of so many where you dare not to, you actually believe that you are this character at this time on this beautiful, sacred space. So how could I, as a student that didn't really care enough about other people, be able to do that every single day? It took my 4 years of training at Viterbo to learn how to be a human in order to learn how to be the actor that I wanted to be. And once I got out of school, the journey still wasn't easy. Does anyone understand the process of getting hired as an actor? I'm assuming that most of us either work in what we call the real world or, right? And you do this thing called interviewing for jobs, correct? And how do you feel about the interview process? Is it something that you look forward to every single day? No, guess what? For actors, we interview all day, every day. It is the crux of our job. The only difference is the interview, if you're lucky, is about 90 seconds. And they've already told you by giving you a script or sides exactly what you are allowed to say in this interview. Memorize these lines, this song, and these sides. That is your interview to get this job. But before we allow you to interview, we're going to judge you on all of those things that HR protects you from. So when people say HR, I was like, that doesn't exist in my world. The first thing that I have to send in is a picture. And then they say, okay, great. Well, how tall are you? 5'9"? We want everyone to be 5'10" or above. So thanks, but no thanks. Great. Or they say, actually, we want everyone to be 6 feet or above. Thanks, but no thanks. Or we want everyone to have red hair, right? So you've already been judged within an inch of your life for them to finally give you the miracle and say, oh, by the way, we actually want to allow you to audition. Here, learn this material overnight. Come in and do it. And you're like, I have 60 seconds to show these people that I'm the person that they should hire for this show. It is the craziest thing. And I struggled and I struggled. And although I was working, I was never quite having the career that I wanted. Knock on wood, I'm so lucky. Thank God. I'm so lucky that I've never been unemployed as an actor, which is wonderful. It's rare. It's kind of awesome. It's great. But it's always been a struggle. It's always an uphill battle. And your contracts are, sometimes a few weeks, sometimes a few months, sometimes a year. Like, they're not very long contracts. So you're always searching for that next job. And you're searching for the next job while you are working. So you are interviewing 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week. That is just what you do. 1-minute interviews. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And it was a mental struggle for me. It was an emotional struggle for me. I felt that I was going in the room and I was pouring out my heart, and then I was leaving, hoping that someone behind the table would be like, he's the one. And then something happened. Another tiny miracle happened, and I realized, wait, what am I doing? I'm going in and I'm pouring out my heart and then I'm leaving. And I was like, no, Arbender. Why don't you go in and just present your true, authentic self? Why don't you go in and take all of the things that you've learned and find the best way to deliver that? Why don't you step back and realize all of the things that you are and figure out how to bring that truth to the truth of all of your characters? Why don't you, Arbender, take this idea of leadership, take this idea of serving the characters that you play, and put that magic on stage? And everything changed. One example, there was a show while I was a student at Viterbo. It was opening. They did their out-of-town tryout in Minneapolis. The show sounds like this in the beginning. Okay. I'll tell you the end of the story. I finally booked the show. But that's where we're there. But know that I auditioned for that show 37 times over the course of 15 years before they actually said yes. Not only that, once, about time number 23, I was living in Florida at the time, working for Walt Disney as a studio vocalist. They actually flew me from Florida to New York City, put me in a swanky hotel, paid me 3 weeks of Broadway salary so that I could actually rehearse on stage with the Broadway cast. And I learned things like, right? I learned like 6 different South African dialects. I learned all the movements as different animals, all kinds of things, right? All these things. So then a month later, when they're like, hey, Arbender, we want you to audition for Lion King again. We're going to fly you to New York. I was like, got this. I know it. I didn't get it. Now we're at audition number 27, and I said there were 37 auditions before I actually booked the show. But remember I said, Arbender, take yourself and put it in all the characters that you play. I was auditioning the entire time for the role of Simba. Older Simba. There's like a 11-year-old who's great, who does actually half the show, and older Simba just does like the second half, not really that much. So he's on stage for like 40 minutes total in the show. I said, well, what's the problem? What is the thing? Like if I'm looking at things from Simba's point of view, what do I know about Simba? What do we know about Simba from The Lion King? What do we know? I'm listening. He's conflicted. He's lost. Everything the light touches is part of his kingdom, said his daddy. Yes, anything else? Yes, thank you, Mufasa. I'm here, Father. Anything else that we know about Simba? He just can't wait to be king. I love this. A beautiful song, beautiful song. Do you mind if I add something to that? I also thought that Simba just couldn't wait to be king. And then I realized, well, who is Simba? And I said, well, what does Simba have to do in order to become king? And the answer is nothing. He doesn't have to do a thing. He is king. So when I said, Arbender, what do you have to do in order to be in these shows? Nothing. I am in these shows. I'm there. I have all the skills that I need to be there. I have all the things that I need to be there. I am there. A nun did not call me, or a sister did not call me out of the blue and say, hey, Arbender, come to Viterbo University to study theater, if I wasn't already supposed to be there. It was divine intervention. So my job was to be a servant of that material. My job was to be a servant of that gift and just take my rightful place in that show. So that day, many years later, and by this point I had already been in like 7 other Broadway shows, just so you know, so I really learned a lot of stuff along the way. That day I went into my final audition for Lion King. Arbender, we want you to come in for Lion King. I hadn't been in for like 2 years, so I was just like, whatever. I'm just going to do my thing and do what I do because I am supposed to be on Broadway. So I went in, and then we hear, hem, hem, hem. Hem, hem, na, 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 na. Simba's on stage all by himself, completely dark stage. I said a little prayer. Father God, if it's mine, it's mine. Where has the starlight gone? Dark is the day. How can I find my way home? And this is where the actor kicked in, because I said the word home. And I was thinking to myself, my home is right here in this space. And home was the dream that I refused to dream when I was younger. Home is an empty dream, lost to the past. Father, I decided who Father was. Father, I feel so alone. You promised you'd be there whenever I needed you. Whenever I call your name, you're not anywhere. I'm trying to hold on, just waiting to hear your voice. One word, just a word will do to end this nightmare. When will the dawning break? Oh, endless night, sleepless, I dream of the day when you were by my side, guiding my path. And then they stopped me. I was like, you can't stop me now. So I said, wait, you cannot stop me now. How can I, Father, I can't find the way. And then I got really, really ballsy and did this to each person behind the table. You promised you'd be there whenever I needed you. Whenever I call your name, you're not anywhere. I'm trying to hold on, just waiting to hear your voice. One word, just a word will do to end this nightmare. And that audition, or as I like to call it, that prayer, helped me finally book The Lion King on Broadway, the hardest show for me to get into. Oh, yay. So then from there, you would think that it would all be easy from there, right? Because now that's like the 8th Broadway show I've done. Like, it should get easier. It doesn't get any easier. But what I realized is that, Arbender, you just have to bring who you are and what you are to the table authentically every single time. And whatever happens on their side of the table does not affect me anymore because I know that I went into that meeting, I went into that audition, and I delivered what the universe, what our Heavenly Father, right, what my spirit, what Mother Nature wanted me to deliver in that very moment. Here's another example. So I'm auditioning for this show, Ragtime on Broadway. And at this point, I was a little further along in my career, so I didn't have to do all the initial auditions, they just called me in for the final. So my phone rings the night before, hey, Arbender, final callback for Ragtime on Broadway. Oh, I love that show, it's so great. Just want you to come in, they want you to sing a song, and then they'll probably have you dance and you'll be out of there. And I was like, great. So I get to the door. I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to sing? And it's usually a prayer for me to decide what I'm going to sing that day. I was like, what should I sing? And the strangest thing came to mind. It had nothing to do with Broadway or Ragtime or anything. And it sounded like this. What wonder and fear Moses must have felt that day when God's voice spoke from a burning bush that sealed his holy fate. For the prideful Saul of Tarsus, the day turned into night when a blinding flash from God left him groping without sight. God calls us. He calls us in our sorrow, and he finds us in our pain to receive his gift of mercy, salvation in his name. When God calls us, we stand before the maker of the universe. When God calls us, he lifts, and they said, thank you so much, Arbender. And I was like, oh, I ruined that one. Then behind the table, someone said, I'm not even a believer, but I believe it. And I was like, oh, yay, that makes me so happy. So I booked that show as well. And then I also realized, so Arbender, what are you doing? What am I doing to actually book these shows? And we've talked this entire weekend about a number of words that begin with the word re. What are those words? And I have another one, if it's okay. Hope I don't get in trouble. And it's reset. So when I think of restore, and we talked about it in the previous presentation, oh, I deleted something, let me restore. Ah, there it is, right? But when we restore, it's going back to the standard, to the place that it was before. So I also like to use the word reset. So what's the difference between, and I came up with this while I was playing video games the other day, just so you know. I was like, reset, reset, right? So what's the difference in your mind right now between restore and reset? What's the difference? Reset is a new opportunity, a new chance. Anything else? I'm an actor, so I like different opinions because they come from different places. New opportunity, a new chance. What else? Start over, sure. Anything else? Reshape. Someone say grace. I love that. Anything else? That was back here, right, Grace? Wonderful. Just so you know, for actors, there's no wrong answer ever. It's like whatever you say. You're like rattlesnakes. I'm like, perfect. Yet, whatever you say. Anything else? Reset versus restore. What was it? Creativity. What I love about reset, when I said, Arbender, just reset. When I reset, I am also taking everything that I learned from this journey with me as I begin again. So if I started the conversation with, hey, dude, how are you? And if I say that to my mother, she'll be like, you're talking to the wrong person, kiddo. I'll be like, all right, reset. Because that doesn't work. Hello, mother, much love. How are you? She's like, oh, that's much better, right? I am resetting. So I'm taking what I learned from the previous attempt. I am resetting and using that on my next journey. And another thing that I love about reset is that we can hit reset whenever we want. I hit reset so many times throughout the course of my day. It is ridiculous, but I love it because I'm resetting with my beautiful bow tie and my fun socks. I'm resetting by surrounding myself by tiny, tiny miracles every single day. I am resetting so that I can take what I learned and bring it to the table. Every audition, I am resetting. What did I learn from these previous auditions? What did I learn from the previous show? What did I learn from live today? What did I learn last night? How can I use that as I reset and move through life again? Does that make sense? Do we agree or disagree? Does this scare anyone? Reset? No, it's only restore. So can we also like try to reset? Is that something we can do? I just felt like so cool when I was like playing video games, I know, and came up with this. I was like, oh my goodness, I can reset. I can reset in my life. That's what I do. Is that what I do? That's what I do. Father God, is that what I do? That's what I do. Yeah, I reset. I'll buy it. Cool. Yeah. So before I get out of here, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, before I get out of here, I would like to know some of the things that you are personally taking from this week. It's always important for me because I just talked to you for who knows how long, but it's always important for me to also know who I'm speaking with. So what are some of the things that you're taking from this weekend? Or what are some of the reasons that you're here? Or what are some of the things that you hoped, as I go back into New York mode, I'm getting anxious again, excited. Yet, what are some of the things that you hope that you would discover for yourselves this weekend? I'm listening. I do this to my acting students too. I'm listening. They're like, oh, he wants us to talk. Here we go. Go ahead.
I am committing to not wearing earbuds when I go grocery shopping or to stores, but to instead intentionally connecting with strangers that I come in contact with.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I really love that one too. My friends think I'm crazy because when I get to the counter, I'm always like, hold on. And I'm like, let me just connect with you. And sometimes the teller's like, what are you doing? That's so weird. But I'm like, I love it. No, I agree too. I love it. What else are we discovering, taking with us, learned, hope to learn? Why are we here? I'm listening. Let's find like 4 more people, maybe 5. Go ahead. Joy in the presence of people. What does that mean? This is my actor mode being like, what does that mean? How can I understand it from your point of view? I'm listening.
All I have to do to understand it is watch you.
Ooh.
You're glowing with joy. And I just wrote down, why is he more joyful than I am?
You know what? I'll tell you, it's also taking all of my nervous energy and making it positive. I'm like, I'm not nervous, I'm just way excited, like super excited. So it's also part of that. My mother taught me that. See, one of like the 5,000 people that are living inside of me, she's one of them. I took it with her. Yeah, what else? Anything else? Go ahead. Ooh, the opportunity to renew. That's like a gift in my world. That's one of these little like tiny miracles again. I love that. Anyone else want to share? Slowing down. That is a challenge for me. No, it really is. Here's a funny story about slowing down. 3 years ago for Christmas, a camera, like an old camera came in the mail from my parents. I was like, that's weird. So I called my mother and I was like, Ma, what's up? Like, what does that mean? She goes, first of all, Ma. I was like, okay, Mom, what does that mean? She said, well, one, you called me Ma, which means I probably haven't talked to you in a couple weeks. So I sent you a camera because you can't call, so maybe you could take a picture so I remember who you are. And I was like, Mom, I talk to you almost every day. And she goes, but 2 weeks ago you only called me twice. And I was like, all right, you win. So she's the boss. So yes, I do sometimes have to slow down because my days do get away from me. But there are a couple of things that I do in my life to help me slow down. The first thing that I do is something called morning pages. Has anyone ever heard of this? Morning pages? I heard one, yes. Literally, when I get up I cheat on morning pages a little bit. When I wake up in the morning, I do one of 2 things. One, I'll just reach under my bed, grab my Crayolas, and color for about 10 to 15 minutes, especially if my alarm actually woke me up, because usually I wake up before it, but if it wakes me up, I'm like, oh, it's so mean. So I'll just color for like 10 or 15 minutes. So it's really like a date with myself before I begin my day. It's my little reset, because I'm like, that alarm, reset. Yep, there we go, color. Or morning pages requires you, and I did this morning in the, what are those peace gardens of all like the sister cities of the cross? Yep, I did that this morning. You take a notepad, and it is your job to write until you fill 3 pages. It doesn't matter what you write. Sometimes it's doodles, sometimes it's just scribbling. Who cares? But what I realize is that my prayers are usually answered in that moment because things of clarity come out and I write them down and I was like, oh yeah. Or I'll discover things that I want to ponder for the next day. You have no obligation to go back and read this scribbling, this rambling that you wrote, but it causes you to pause first thing in your day to actually do something to connect your spirit and your mind and your soul and everything together. It's really cool. And then when I first started, I thought it was horrible. I was like, 3 pages. And now I can do it in about 5 minutes. It's so simple. So that's that. So that's one of the ways that I do force or allow myself to simply slow down. Anything else that we're taking with us this weekend before I get out of here? Go ahead. I see a hand here, and then I'll take the hand there. Go ahead.
To pause and listen.
To pause and listen. That's beautiful. I love that. Some acting teachers will say that what actors actually do is listen and then react. Listen and then react as a character would in that moment. But we do have to pause and listen first. So listen becomes imperative in the work that we do. And that's also how we memorize the lines. We're honestly responding to what we just heard or didn't hear in a previous line, or what we assumed they were actually saying behind their line. So great. And then there was one here as well. Yes?
We've had 2 days of learning to do what we do every day, working in our community, or in our businesses and all that, to give back to our community, to grow our community, to make our community better. It's all about community.
I love that as well. And that reminds me of one more song. I know songs are everything to me. I love songs because it means that someone else already went through whatever I'm going through and they survived it. And I'm like, I'll just take from your song to figure out how to kind of get through that. But it's so great for me to be back home in La Crosse. It's great for me to be on stage where I consider this home. It's wonderful to be able to talk about community and listening and slowing down. So there is this song from The Wiz called Home. And I won't sing the whole song, don't you worry. Just about the first verse. But I love the lyrics because the lyrics say, when I think of home, or your community, when I think of home, I think of a place where there is love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. Wind that makes the tall grass bend into leaning. Why'd I pick this key? Suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the scene makes it all clean. Maybe there's a chance for me to come back now that I have some direction. It sure would be nice to be back home where there is love and affection. And just maybe I can convince time to slow up, giving me enough time in my life to grow up. Time be my friend. Let me start again. Suddenly my world's gone and changed its face, but I still know where I'm going. I have had my mind spun around in space, and yet I've watched it growing. And if you're listening, God, please don't make it hard to know if we should believe the things that we see. Tell me, should we run away? Should we try to stay? Or would it be better just to let things be? Living here, why this key? In this brand new world might be a fantasy. But it taught me to love. And so it's real to me. And I've learned that we must look inside our hearts to find a world full of love. Like yours, like mine, like home. Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Sounds like an encore to me. During the pandemic, Arbender came home and taught our theater students. And it's during this time that at Viterbo, we are starting to call Sister Thea Bowman home. Sister Thea Bowman, activist, social artist, prophet. And Arbender brought her spirit back into the community through prayer and song. And so I've asked him to sing one of Thea's favorites.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Can you help me with this one? When I say this little light of mine, you're gonna say what? Let's do it. This little light of mine. This little light of mine. This little light of mine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Here we go. This little light of mine. Oh, this little light of mine. This little light of mine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Last time through, here we go. Hey, this little light of mine. Whoa, this little light of mine. This little light of mine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Stay with us. We're going to close. This is our last song.
Perfect.
We talked about how when we sing together, our voices come together. And today, as we sing and our voices come together, we remember all those people who have served and led us for a lifetime, and now we follow their legacy. We live out their dreams for ourselves. And that is encapsulated in a beautiful song, America, that Matthew and Kyle are going to lead us, and Arbender will sing with us together.
All right, real quickly, America the Beautiful, written by a woman who was a servant leader, Catherine Lee Bates, 1900, school teacher from the East. Out of curiosity in the summer, took her trip to Pikes Peak. She sat on top of Pikes Peak like a good spiritual leader, contemplated, but not without action. Wrote a beautiful poem about it called America the Beautiful. We're going to sing 3 verses. Just so you're looking for the verses after the first verse, which we all know. Just find it on your device. Just type in America the Beautiful. You don't have to put lyrics. It'll just pop up. Okay? We're going to start with G. Everybody's asking.
I know, right? Second and third verse. All right. I know, right? It'll come to me.
Okay. You're fine. You don't need it. Yeah, here we go. All right.
Oh, yeah. But I'll steal it.
Take our earbuds off, but we're going to sing to a fold. Come on.
All right, everybody got it? So, Catherine Lee Bates, America the Beautiful. Ready? Tell her. Okay. Cello problems.
This is called winging it.
This is totally winging it.
Is there an intro, or are we just coming right in?
As you know, G. We'll just start right on it. Okay? A beautiful for spacious skies. Ready?
Beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee. brotherhood with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful, for he whose stern in passion stress, a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country love, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine.
Awesome.
Yay!
Thank you so very much for coming. Thank you for your goodness and your grace. Thank you for your presence and your joy. Thank you for the love that you will bring from this gathering to our community and a world that desperately needs it. Well, attitude? Bacciamani. 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 Peace and all good until we meet again. Thank you.
Yeah.